first, let me premise by saying this, because I'm sure somebody's going to say, hey, Phil, why did you do this? First of all, yes, I completely agree that monotherapy is the best, if we can do it for treatment of migraine. On the other hand, like a lot of time we will reach clinical situations where you cannot, just one medication just doesn't cut it. And then you end up in a situation by using two medications and so on and so forth. So, so the idea is this. The idea is that, okay, if you use two medications for either abortive or prevention, let's just say prevention, how do you actually figure out, let's say it doesn't work, and then you decide to switch the medication. Well, how do you know that it's going to actually, which medication is working, when you do this, or which combination of medication is working? So, I mean, the research question is that, is there a scientific way, or maybe a mathematical way, or maybe just a logical way to try pick two combinations of medications that's not interacting with each other, and see if that's, that whether it works, but only change one of the medication one at a time. Because if you change two, you can't know which one's working, which is not. So essentially, this sequential pick two thing is like give you the result. If you look at the graph on there, there's a little big chart on every single element on there are two combinations of medication, and every single one differs from the next just by one drug. So essentially, you can look at the whole thing and say, okay, let's say I'm at one of the drug combinations. I can then go on to the next one by just changing one of them and just keep on going through. So essentially, it provides the clinician with a schema when they're at two medications, how to actually just move one medication sequentially and try all possible combinations. So that's essentially what it is as a result. It has a fancy name. The fancy name is because of the way you make this result happen. So it's essentially a graph. What happened is that you can figure out for yourself a graph where every single node in the graph is a pick two combination. So for example, amitriptyline plus topamax. I'm just making this up again. There's one node. And then I guess amitriptyline and CGRP is another node, And essentially those are the nodes in the graph. And if two nodes are shared by one drug, then they have an edge. Otherwise, they do not. So the thing I just gave you, amitriptyline topamax combo, this one node is therefore connected to amitriptyline CGRP. But maybe, I don't know, I guess candesartan, Namenda or something like that. That node is not connected to any of these two. So then you have a graph. And the way that this works to generate this is essentially to ask the graph a specific question. And that question is, how do you touch every single node in this graph without repeating? And so essentially you translate this problem into a mathematical problem of what's called Hamiltonian cycle. That's what it is. This touching every graph just by one is called Hamiltonian cycle. So once you generate this graph, you use a Python script to find the Hamiltonian cycle, and you basically touch one at a time, and that's the result. And sometimes these things turn out to be actually a cycle. So the first element of the list actually connects with the last element of the list, and you get a nice little cycle where you actually can start anywhere in the sequence and then go forward or backward and end up in the same place. So that's how you generate this thing.